I didn't say anything when I saw the photo. It was posted at 9:42 p.m., right when I should have been blowing out candles. A dimly lit restaurant, one of those places that tries a little too hard to look effortless, brick walls, hanging bulbs, the kind of menu that doesn't list prices unless you ask. He was sitting across from her. His ex. They weren't touching. Not in the picture. But his body was angled in a way I knew too well, leaning in just enough, smiling like he'd forgotten everything else existed. And the caption was worse. Some things just feel familiar. Yeah. That didn't sit right. I stared at it for a while. Longer than I'd like to admit. My phone buzzed once, then again. Messages from people who had seen it before I did. Subtle check-ins, nothing direct. You good? You seen this? I didn't reply. I just locked my screen, set it face down on the kitchen counter, and stood there for a second, listening to the quiet of the apartment. Then I turned off the candles I'd lit for myself. If you'd asked me a year earlier, I probably would have laughed this off. Said something like, "Nah, man, it's nothing," and kept it moving. But this wasn't about one night. This was a pattern. You ever notice how disrespect doesn't show up loud at first? It starts small. Almost polite. Like being talked over in conversations. Or plans getting, accidentally, forgotten. Or jokes that land just a little too close to something real. I met Daniel 3 years ago at a networking event. He had that energy, confident, a little too smooth, the kind of guy who made eye contact just long enough to make you think he meant what he said. We clicked fast. He worked in project management, same industry as me, just louder about it. More visible. The kind of guy who knew how to occupy space. And for a while, I didn't mind standing next to that. It helped, actually. Doors opened easier when he was around. People listened. Meetings moved quicker. He had presence. But presence has a way of becoming dominance if you're not paying attention. At first, it was small things. We'd go to group dinners, and he'd order for the table without asking. Trust me, it's better this way. I'd just nod. Sure, whatever. Then it turned into him speaking on my behalf in meetings. Yeah, we've already looked into that, he'd say, glancing at me like I'd back him up. Sometimes I did. Sometimes I didn't get the chance. And people started associating us together, but not equally. He was the voice. I was the support. Didn't happen overnight. That's the thing. It crept in. And I let it. Not because I didn't notice, but because I thought it wasn't worth pushing back on. I told myself it was temporary. Strategic. Pick your battles, right? Then came the jokes. You're too quiet, man. Gotta speak up more. Don't worry, I'll handle this part. Said with a smile. Always with a smile. And I'd laugh it off. Play along. But there's a difference between being easygoing and being overlooked. Took me a while to feel that shift. And by the time I did, he was already used to it. Maya noticed before I did. She always did. We'd been together just under 2 years. She had this way of observing things without interrupting them, like she was letting people reveal themselves on their own. One night, after a group dinner, she leaned against the passenger side of my car, arms crossed. He talks over you, she said. I shrugged. He gets excited. No, she said calmly. He positions himself above you. I let out a small laugh. You analyzing him now? I'm watching how you respond, she replied. That's more interesting. That stuck with me. Not immediately. But it lingered. Because she wasn't wrong. I just hadn't decided yet what to do about it. The ex thing started showing up a few months later. Her name was Lila. I'd heard about her early on, casual mentions, framed like closed chapters. Yeah, we dated for a bit. Didn't work out. That was it. Except it wasn't. She'd pop up in conversations. Not often, but enough. She used to love this place. Reminds me of something Lila would say. Little callbacks. At first, I didn't think much of it. People have history. That's normal. But then it became visible. She started showing up at the same events. Same circles. Always coincidental, of course. Didn't know she'd be here. Right. And he'd act slightly different around her. More animated. Sharper. Like he was performing a version of himself he thought she remembered. Maya noticed that too. She brings something out in him, she said once. Yeah, I replied. Old habits. She looked at me for a second. Or unfinished ones. I didn't answer. Because I didn't want to think about that. The birthday situation didn't come out of nowhere. There were signs. The week before, I'd mentioned making a reservation. Nothing big. Just dinner, something simple. He nodded. Yeah, we'll do something. That word carried weight. At least, I thought it did. The day of, he texted around noon. Hey, might be a little late tonight. Got pulled into something. I replied, all good. Just let me know. He didn't. By 7:30, I was already at the restaurant. Table for two. Window seat. I ordered water. Then another. At 8:15, I texted. Still coming? No response. At 9 o'clock, I asked for the check. By 9:42, I saw the photo. And everything kind of aligned. Not dramatically. Not with some big emotional crash. Just a quiet, clear understanding. This wasn't an accident. It was a choice. I didn't call him that night. Didn't text. Didn't confront. That wasn't my style. Instead, I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. Because here's the thing, Daniel wasn't just a friend. We were working on a joint proposal. Big one. Multi-phase project with a company that had serious reach. Months of prep. Late nights. Strategy sessions. And most of the groundwork? That was mine. Research, projections, structure, everything that actually held the thing together. Daniel was the face. The presenter. That had always been the dynamic. Until that night. I went through every document. Every shared file. Not deleting, just reorganizing. Clarifying authorship. Timestamping contributions. Separating my work from his. Then I drafted an email. Not emotional. Not reactive. Just precise. To the client. I introduced myself formally. Outlined my role in the project. Attached a revised version of the proposal, with clear distinctions on development and execution responsibilities. And at the end, I added one line. For clarity moving forward, I will be overseeing all strategic implementation phases directly. I didn't mention Daniel. Didn't need to. Then I hit send. Closed the laptop. And went to bed. The next morning, my phone lit up. Missed calls. Texts. From him. Hey man, we need to talk. Did you send something to the client? What's going on? I let it sit. Not out of spite. Just timing. Around noon, I replied. Yeah. We should talk. We met at a cafe near the office. Neutral ground. He walked in already tense, jaw tight, phone in hand. What was that email, he asked, not even sitting down. I took a sip of my coffee. Clarification. You went around me. I communicated my role. You made it look like I'm not leading this. I met his eyes. Calm. You're not. That hit. He blinked, like he hadn't expected pushback. Come on, man. That's not how we've been doing this. Exactly, I said. Silence stretched for a second. Then he leaned in, lowering his voice. You're overreacting. Whatever this is about, last night or something, don't bring it into business. I almost smiled. Last night just made things clear. Clear how? That I've been letting you speak for me too long. He exhaled sharply. So this is some kind of payback? No, I said evenly. It's correction. He shook his head, frustrated. You're messing this up. I leaned back slightly. No. I'm fixing my position in it. He didn't like that. You could see it, the shift. The loss of control. Because for the first time, the dynamic wasn't automatic. It was being redefined. What he didn't realize was, the client had already responded. They appreciated the clarity. More than that, they wanted to meet. With me. Specifically. Apparently, they'd had questions about execution for a while. Concerns about consistency. Daniel's presentations were strong, but the follow-through had gaps. Gaps I'd been quietly filling. Now, they knew. And they wanted direct oversight. Which meant the structure changed. Officially. Contracts were adjusted. Roles redefined. Daniel wasn't cut out completely, but his position shifted. From lead, to support. Funny how that works. He tried to recover. Pushed harder in meetings. Spoke louder. Asserted more. But once people see the foundation, they stop focusing on the surface. And Daniel? He was all surface. It wasn't malicious. Not exactly. Just, built on the assumption that no one would challenge it. That I wouldn't. He underestimated that. A week later, he texted. Hey. You free to talk? I met him again. Same cafe. This time, he sat down first. Looked different. Less certain. I didn't realize, he said slowly, how much you were handling. I nodded. That's the point. He ran a hand through his hair. I thought we were balanced. I didn't respond. Because we both knew that wasn't true. He glanced up. About that night, I didn't mean for it to. It's fine, I cut in. And I meant it. Not because it didn't matter. But because it already did what it needed to. He studied me for a second. You're just done. I shrugged lightly. I'm adjusted. That landed harder than anything else I could have said. Maya noticed the shift immediately. You look lighter, she said one evening, watching me cook. Less noise, I replied. She smiled. Told you. Yeah, I said. You did. We didn't talk about Daniel much after that. Didn't need to. Some things resolve themselves once you stop holding them in place. A month later, I saw another photo. Different restaurant. Different caption. Same energy. Except this time, I didn't feel anything. No irritation. No curiosity. Just distance. Because by then, I wasn't in his orbit anymore. Professionally or personally. And that space? That was mine again. Funny thing about walking away. It's not always loud. No speeches. No dramatic exits. Sometimes, it's just a quiet shift. A decision made without announcement. A line redrawn without permission. And when they finally notice, you're already gone. For good.